Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Elegoo Neptune 4 to print something cool like this collapsing sword. I purchased this Elegoo printer myself on Amazon and I've been really happy with it. I wanted to show you exactly how I set it up and how I made some of my first prints. So I'm going to take you through step by step exactly what you need to do to get your printer going and be able to print something fun like this collapsing sword. So let's just start off with the assembly process. So obviously I already assembled this. It did come flat packed, and so this part is flat and you do need to assemble it. The instructions are pretty clear and there is videos that are available to take you through how to assemble it. It took me about 30 minutes to assemble this Elegoo printer. It was pretty straightforward and then it was ready to use. So first thing first, when you get your printer, is you are going to want to load your filament. So you can see the filament spool up here, and a nice thing that is included with the Elegoo printers is this, the filament detector piece. So this will let you know if you've run out of filament. So if you're using filament, they come in different sizes. So this, for example, is actually a smaller spool, so it only has 250 grams of filament, and so if you're doing a big project you might actually run out of filament and you wouldn't want your whole print to go to waste. So this filament detector here would actually allow you to change the filament over and restart. So what you're going to do is you are going to take your filament and put it on the spool here, and then you're going to slide your filament through this filament detector, and you can see there's a blue light that comes on there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to need to actually insert it into the printer head here. And so there's a clip here that you pull back and then you insert the filament in. You'll feel it go down probably about an inch and a half into the printer head here. Now we're going to actually load the filament on the device itself. So I'm just going to try to bring this up here so that you can see it. So Neptune 4 has this touch screen. And what you're going to do is you are going to go to prepare, and then under prepare you are going to go to extruder, and then you're going to go to load the filament here. And that's going to start the filament coming out. So I'll just try to zoom in here on my printer head so you can see I had yellow in here before. So there's some yellow coming out, but now there we go. There's my kind of dark green color that's coming out, and you can see where it changed over colors there. So now I've got my filament loaded into this device. Okay, so the Elegoo comes with this flexible print bed. I definitely recommend, if you're looking for a 3D printer to buy, that you choose one with a flexible print bed. Most of the newer 3D printers that are coming out include these rather than a glass print bed. These print beds are so much easier to peel your design off of, and so it's so much easier to work with one of these print beds than a glass print bed. You can see there's a little bit of film on my print bed. That's from using a glue stick, which is included with Elegoo and helps with adhesion. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to level your print bed. It's really important to do this so that you get a nice 3D print. If your print bed is not level, then you're either going to get a whole clump of filament that's going to clog up your print head, which you don't want to do. I'm going to show you. So this was a previous print head that I had, and what happened is I had a huge filament jam mess. This print head completely had to be replaced because I hadn't leveled the bed properly, and so this is what will happen. It will totally ruin your 3D printer if you don't have your print bed level. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into this touch screen again, and this time, so I'm going to go back, you're going to click level, and then it's going to say that it's going to return to 0 action. So the print bed will return to 0, and then this screen is going to come up here. And so what you're going to do is you are going to press automatic for it to automatically level your print bed. It's going to go to multiple spots on the print bed and adjust as needed. So I'm going to press automatic, And then let's watch a sped up version of how this leveling works. Okay, so that leveling process took about 8 minutes, and so now you'll see on the screen here that it wants you to confirm that the nozzle is about the thickness of a sheet of A4 paper under close to the print bed. Okay, so I've got the paper in, but it is really tight, and so I can't even really pull it at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Z offset here, and I'm going to raise it a little bit, and it's still pretty tight, so then I'm going to raise it again. Still pretty tight, raise it again, and I'm going up by a small amount each time, just 0.01 millimeters, so that I can really fine tune. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit less tension, but it's still hard to move the paper. You only want a little bit of tension between the nozzle head and the paper. So I'm going to keep going until I get that right tension. And there we go. I can move it pretty easily, but I definitely feel a bit of tension. That's what I'm looking for. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just exit out of the level, and it's going to say save and restart to apply the Z offset value and measure the data of the auto level, and I can confirm. So it saves all that data. So now my printer is all set up and ready to go, but I need to find something to 3D print. So I'm going to take you over to the computer now, where I'm going to show you where you can find designs that are available to download for free online so that you can start printing some designs. So you can either design your own file, or you can go to these online databases to search for files. So my favorite website that I enjoy going to find 3D print files is printables.com. So this is what the website looks like, and you can just see I'll scroll through some of the designs that are available to download for free on this website. There's thousands of designs. I find that I get some really nice and unique designs from this one, but there's some other websites as well. Like Thingiverse is another popular 3D print file website. All of these designs are free to download, but of course you do need to pay attention to any copyright restrictions. A lot of them are not for commercial use. So I am going to choose today a collapsing pirate sword. I've tried a few of these print-in-place swords, and they're a lot of fun. My kids love them, so I think it would be fun to print one of these with my Elegoo Neptune 4. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go down here to the Files section, and I'll see the STL file, which is that 3D print file. And I'm going to click the download button here, and then it's going to download to my downloads folder. And I'm going to use this file for the next step in 3D printing, which is the slicing phase. And so this is the slicing phase. We're going to be using Elegoo Cura, which is the preferred slicing software for the Elegoo Neptune 4 printer. You can download this from the Elegoo website, or you just Google Elegoo Cura and you'll be able to download it. Once you have it downloaded, it will look like this. I already have my Elegoo Neptune 4 printer set up, but if you needed to do that, you would go here and click Add a Printer, then go to Add a Non-Network Printer, and then choose which Elegoo printer you're going to be using. So I would have chosen the 4 here, and then you'd click Add, but I already have mine, so I'll just click Cancel. So I have a Neptune 3 Pro and a 4, so I'll click the 4 for this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open File, and I'm going to click on that collapsing sword, and it's going to put the model on my print bed here. And so then I can go through these other settings. I'm just going to stick with generic PLA, but I could change the settings if I was using a different type of filament. I like to work with PLA, and they also have some options for different brands here. Go with the generic PLA. And then I could also change these settings here. These are the printer settings. So I'm just going to go with the completely normal profile here. I haven't made any changes. The only thing that I sometimes do change here is the support or the build plate adhesion. This design does not require supports, so I'm not adding any extra supports, but usually I have to look in the description of the file I've downloaded to see whether the designer recommends using supports. And then for the build plate adhesion, I've chosen a skirt, which is just a small thin line around my design just to make sure that I get my filament coming out nicely. I don't need a brim or a raft for this design. It prints nicely without those, and I find that those can be difficult, especially with these print and place designs. A raft can sometimes be difficult to peel off, so I'm not going to use that. So I'll just keep with the recommended settings here. So I'll just minimize this, and then I'm going to click slice, and now it's going to slice my 3D model here. So what this is doing is it is going through and slicing this 3D model layer by layer, and it's going to give instructions to my 3D printer, a code, which will tell my printer how to print this model layer by layer. Remember, 3D printers work by melting plastic filament and then very precisely putting that filament on the printer bed layer by layer to build up the model. And so right now, what this software is doing is going through and figuring out how to very precisely make this design layer by layer. Okay, so our file has now been sliced, and as you can see, it says it's going to take 5 hours and 49 minutes, which is pretty fast for a design of this complexity and this size. Keep in mind that the Elegoo Neptune 4 is a really fast 3D printer, and so if I was using one of my older generation printers, it would probably take twice or 3 times as long. It's going to use 152 grams of filament and 50.91 meters. So again, you could calculate to make sure that you have enough filament based on the size of your spool. And also you could calculate how much it's going to cost you to create this design based on the percentage of the filament that you're using in the spool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save it to file. I'm going to save it to my USB drive. The Elegoo Neptune 4 has a USB port, USB-C port, and a micro SD port. And so I will save it to my USB so that I can insert that USB into the printer and get started with printing our design. Okay, so now we have our design on our USB. So I'm going to stick this into my Elegoo printer. And now let's get ready to print. So I'll pull out the touch screen here and I'm going to click on print, and then it's going to show me all of the files and designs that I have put on that USB. And so I'm going to look here for the collapsing pirate sword. I'm going to click that. It tells me it's going to take 5 hours and 49 minutes, and I'm going to click confirm, and now my print's going to get started. It does take a bit of time for the print bed to heat up and for the nozzle to heat up. So expect it to take, 4 or 5 minutes till it starts printing. And you absolutely do want to watch your print, especially the first few layers you're going to want to watch. And then you're going to want to check on it several times throughout the print, because if you do have a print error and it causes a jam, that can be a problem. All right, so let's watch a cool time-lapse video of this print. All right, so now we have our collapsing sword. I already did peel this off the printer. I just flexed the print bed here to peel it off. With these print in place designs, you do have to sometimes fiddle with them a bit to loosen them up so that they slide in and out easily. So I did that, and then now I can show it to you easily. These print in place swords are super fun. My kids love them. I love this filament. I'll link it in the description. It's kind of a nice dark green and a bit sparkly. So here's the print. I think it turned out great. It's got lots of great detail. Really happy with this Elegoo Neptune 4 printer. I love that it's so fast compared to my Elegoo Neptune 3 printer, but still has the same quality. Hope you enjoyed this video on how to use the printer. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.